Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders. This is yet another feature from Mystery Science Theater 3000. Now, this is a very curious creation. I did some reading into this because the whole movie feels very jarring and cobbled together, and that's because it is. Apparently, this was initially, part of the movie was supposed to be a television pilot for sort of this Merlin shop sort of concept. So the first half of the movie with Merlin and Merlin's wife and the sort of scumbag and the mystical book was all intended to be the pilot for a television show. The second half of the movie with the evil monkey doll and the child and the father and all that is actually all content sort of ripped out of a short film that the director did previous to this, and has nothing to do with the Merlin stuff. They filmed the Merlin interspersed scenes to make it make sense in the plot, but it has nothing to do with this. Ultimately, I think it failed as a television pilot, so he wanted to do something with it. So he basically took a short film and a TV pilot and crammed them together and then released it as a movie. And it feels like it. This one has some really goofy moments. It's particularly the second half of this movie I think is a lot funnier. There's an evil cursed monkey doll, which is sounds like it's actually ripped off of a Stephen King story. I don't remember what the story's called, but it sounds very overly familiar. Basically, it's this enchanted cursed monkey toy that's like yay big and has like the little clapper things, and whenever the clapper things clang, he kills somebody. Somebody dies somehow, vaguely. So, yeah, I don't remember how the kid comes across it, but the kid gets this toy, and it causes havoc, and the dad tries to destroy it, and it causes earthquakes, and it's just over the top. It is way over the top. The first half of the movie, during that half, that's the short film part of it. They sort of film Merlin trying to find this doll. It got lost somehow, and he's just sort of wandering around talking to people out in public, and it feels like something they forced in. The first half of the movie is also kind of ridiculous. That's where you actually see a lot of Merlin. Merlin has opened up this sort of bazaar, more or less, like a goodies shop, and this guy comes in who is apparently some sort of reviewer or critic, and is the movie version of a skeptic, in that he's just a total dick all the time. His wife wants a baby, he doesn't want one. This is sort of a weird B-plot that comes back, sort of. And he's just a total jerk to everyone, and he believes Merlin is a charlatan, and is like, this is all fake, and Merlin's like, no, I insist it's real, and Merlin gives him this book of spells.
I chew places like this up and spit them into the toilet.
And he doesn't believe it and thinks it's trash, and starts doing a review of it, claiming that everything is fraud and it's all trash, and then for whatever reason, on a whim, he decides to test some of the spells that are in the book, and then they actually work due to really bad special effects. Things like he breathes fire with a really dumb-looking effect. He somehow possesses his cat with a demon and then sets it on fire. It's weird. And then, of course, as he uses it, it starts to age him rapidly, and there is a spell missing of how to, go back to being young, or at least it's partially there. He tries sort of improvising and then turns him into a baby. Wife gets the baby, we don't have a jerk anymore, and he gets his comeuppance for being a dick. So that's the first half of the movie. That gets spread into a much longer time than the minute or so that it took to summarize that. The effects are totally worth... The second half, that short film, is actually just goofy and worth watching. The short film ends much darker than this. They actually changed the ending for it so that Merlin saves the day. Initially, they just sort of implode when the monkey sort of kills everyone. The first half is also... I think the acting on the part of this guy playing the skeptic is hilarious. So that's worth checking out, I think. So the whole thing does feel like a weirdly cobbled together mess, but I think this is sort of a cult favorite among Mystery Science Theater 3000 fans. Particularly when the kid's playing with the monkey, he says this really ridiculous line like robot monster or something like that.
Rock and roll Martian. Rock and roll Martian.
there's a lot of weird lines and weird dialogue throughout, and Merlin looks ridiculous. Like, the costume looks just ridiculous, especially when he's just wandering around in public. I do recommend this one. I don't actually think it's that bad, considering. I think it's definitely sort of incompetently thrown together, but maybe not one of the worst 100 movies of all time. It was pretty watchable compared to most of what I've been watching. I even think this would have been watchable sort of without the riff. Like, its parts, if they were separate, would be plenty watchable, but having them cobbled together makes it all too long, I think. But not in a painful way. There's nothing painful going on in this one. So yeah, Merlin Shop of Mystical Wonders. I think it's an okay recommendation for a bad movie night, particularly with the riff. So that's all I got on that one.
Get out of the way, Michael. Let me do it.